Have you ever heard of Andy Sidaris? Maybe this'll help.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
In his multi-decade career, he directed the first broadcast of Wide World of Sports, as well as the Olympic Games from 1974 through 1988, winning many Emmys along the way. So how does one follow up the thrill of victory?
Louis, we're gonna go with boobs. Yeah! Show me boobs! There they are!
Specifically, Bullets, Bombs, and Babes, or Triple B, a series of 12 movies he made with his wife, Arlene, spanning 13 years that were what Spike TV wishes it could be. And today, we're going to return to our prurient 13-year-old selves and take an in-depth look at one of them. This is 1996's Day of the Warrior. The movie sets the tone immediately, with Soul Calibur's Voldo having fallen on hard times. After appealing to some ninja fetishists, we are greeted with an ultimatum.
You could own me if you just call me Cobra.
Or for 3 easy payments of $19.95! Operators are standing by. We travel to the headquarters of Lethal, which stands for Legion to Ensure Total Harmony and Law, which honestly works better than Spectre, where we meet Special Agent Tiger, played by May 1994's Playmate of the Month, Shay Marks. She takes business casual to new extremes with a look that would make even Power Girl blush. But sexy secretaries were hardly an odd occurrence in the 90s. I'm sure the head of the organization subscribes to a much more conservative Gah! This is Commander Willow Black, played by Julie Strain, former Penthouse Pet of the Year and B-movie queen. She's a lot like Wonder Woman, in that she's a tall, fit bombshell and has similar acting talent to Gal Gadot. Weirdly enough, she played the villain, Black Widow, in the previous Triple B movie, The Dallas Connection.
After you finish with those guys, rape these bitches and kill them. I know I would.
So, continuity? Before we go any further, we need to address the elephant in the room. Julie unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago at the age of 58 due to dementia brought about by a horse accident in her 20s. She was a memorable actress that always seemed to have fun with every role, and I think she'd be happy knowing she brought amusement to the masses. Rest in peace, Battle Queen. Thanks for making late-night TV a lot more entertaining than it had any right to be. While expressing remarkable neck strength keeping eye contact, Tiger explains how the agents have been compromised, and their undercover work as strippers and porn stars is in danger. One of them is Doc Austin, a beefy type who is equipped with an overcompensation gun, a day-to-day gun, and a really overcompensating gun. He saves a man being held by federales and recovers the finest antiquities Party City has to offer. And since it's been 9 minutes without an explosion... We then cut to a random changing sequence, a common theme of the movie series. And it's revealed that Shay Marks got her boobs done at the Trumpian School of Plastic Surgery.
Even God goes, I didn't make those.
She gets teamed up with a guy named Tyler, seen here talking to an imperfect clone of Dr. Phil.
Nice flying, Major Ward.
She catches him up to speed.
Willow is trying to locate Shark and Scorpion in Las Vegas.
What about Cobra? Is she still in Beverly Hills?
They immediately decide that the other is bangable.
That's real spy talk. I love it when you do that.
Affirmative, top dog.
And have an extended sequence showing off that they rented a plane for this movie. We then meet some of the undervillains. Manuel, played by Rodrigo Obregon.
Paintings from the great masters of Europe.
And Kim, played by Zap from American Gladiators.
And Zap is overmatched in this one.
Playmates, Gladiators, add a professional wrestler, and we've got the trifecta. Yeah, it's time to talk about the Warrior. The titular big bad is ex-CIA turned professional wrestler turned black market crime lord. And who do they get to play said warrior? Maybe Tatanka. Maybe one of the Road Warriors. Or maybe the most obvious choice ever, the Ultimate Warrior? Nope. They got Marcus Buff Bagwell, a professional wrestler for WCW who had the gimmick of Chippendale's dancer gone evil. He proved surprisingly popular during his career with an outgoing gimmick and decent in-ring style, especially his finisher, the Blockbuster, a diving neckbreaker off the ropes. He would go down with the sinking ship that was WCW, most notoriously competing in a Judy Bagwell on a pole match, where his real-life mom was hoisted on a forklift for a match where wrestlers competed for her services. He would go on to have one match in WWE before being summarily canned during the course of the Red Wedding that was The Invasion. Here, we see him killing a federal agent with the deadliest of fighting styles. Cheap shots!
Delicious! Bring more!
We take a break from the plot for a padding Beverly Hills montage with Cobra. In case you're wondering, yes, she does have a terrible theme song. This is Julie K. Smith, Penthouse Pet. If she looks familiar, she was in another movie I covered. You're probably thinking Sorceress. But unfortunately, it's Bugsy Malone. Unclean. Well, now that that's over, this movie couldn't get much more random. What's next? An African safari? Alien invasion? Asian Elvis? Oh, God. This is Gerald Okamura as Fu, real-life expert in multiple martial arts and stunt performer in dozens of movies. Given that he's the only one here that isn't touched by silicone or steroids, he stands out a bit. He serves as Willow's partner, and likely choreographed the movie. Meanwhile, amazing dialogue.
Man, there are a lot of trees down there. Not like West Texas where I'm from. It's really flat where I come from.
How flat is it?
It's so flat, when your dog runs away from home, you can see him for 3 days.
That's flat.
And the Oscar goes to... Woo!
Also, why does no one care about their penis safety? By the way, one of the standout features of this movie is riveting action. Like this. Meanwhile, back at the villains.
I said shut up!
He was asking too many questions. But enough of that, it's time for some single entendres.
Everything I touch has a way of exploding. There's something I have to get off my chest.
What is it?
Unnatural.
Cut to Shark and Scorpion, two other spies who don't have a lot to do in this movie while being undercover porn stars. They have some decent banter.
How do you like these? I just got them.
Really? Who had them before?
But do the people in this movie realize how off the rest of the plastic surgery is? Speaking of which, Willow has a superpower. We interrupt this fan service for some fan service. You know what? While I have your attention, if you're enjoying this movie, please hit a like or subscribe, and comment if you've seen any of this series or want me to cover something else. And now, back to the action. Cobra comes under attack and has to defend herself. Luckily, she's deadlier with a gun than she is with cutting wit.
Boy, my pool man's really gonna be pissed.
Come on, you can do better than that. Looks like you're in the deep end. See, Cobra, it's not that hard. From there, we get some more riveting action.
Yeah.
Flat. Irony. And so the group returns to headquarters and has to carefully check everything for traps. And of course, you can save money by shooting in your own production offices. You know, the one time where there actually should be nudity.
Yeah, I'll be right there. First, I gotta get something off my chest.
You already used that! Meanwhile, in Kung Fury, we finally get the WCW American Gladiators crossover we always wanted. A sexy sex scene where he sexually rubs sexy paint on her, and then makes her put her clothes back on to put paint on him. But then Willow needs to talk to her superiors.
Bio said you were working at Disneyland when you were recruited. What did you do there?
I was one of the rides.
You know what? Good line. I can't even make a Matterhorn pun. But she and Fu are easily kidnapped, and the warrior wants to fight them. Title drop time!
This is my day, Ron. The day of the warrior.
So now it's time for the showdown we've always wanted. Julie Strain versus Buff Bagwell.
You think you're special, you do.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Show me what you got. Come on, big girl.
Warrior seems to be taking over, but he keeps playing to the non-existent crowd, proving ahead of his time for the socially distant COVID era. Meanwhile, there's an epic shootout, and, well, conking.
Who's that? Gave her quite a shot to the head.
But the final fight finally turns in our hero's favor when Willow gets an international object.
I gotta get something off my chest.
They're really proud of that line. And thus the day is saved, and they finish up with a cocktail party and no subtlety whatsoever.
Good sex.
This movie would go on to live on late-night premium cable for many years, and eventually spawned a sequel called Return to Savage Beach, which also serves as a sequel to 1989's Savage Beach, the fourth entry in the Triple B series. And it's just as wacky, and I'm gonna have to cover it sometime. That time is now. This is 1989's Savage Beach. Any hope of the 80s being a subtler time is dashed when it opens with a samurai on the beach. This one has a warrior as well, so maybe it's a gritty origin story. We begin with four well-endowed DEA agents, played by Playboy Playmates, undercover at a cocaine pineapple ring. Are they any good at their job?
You're under arrest.
No. The bad guys attempt to escape by slowly driving into the ocean.
Donna, you've got to stop thinking me as just another pretty face.
Oh well, better next. Oh my god! And since we're 7 minutes into an Andy Sidaris movie, random boob celebration!
God, we only have 15 minutes to relax here.
Just a bunch of girls and the Wish version of Farrah Fawcett chilling in a hot tub Last Supper style. Meanwhile, one dramatic tone shift later.
Yes, nurse?
This is the last of the serum.
If we don't get more, the children won't make it.
And hey, an Andy Sidaris cameo. Sup, brah? And what does this movie have that the others don't? Dramatic delivery scenes.
I got a delivery here for you.
Oh, great. It's my auto bakery.
What's it do?
Well, you just add the dough and it rises automatically.
No kidding. I never heard of such a thing.
Then you didn't know my ex-boyfriend.
That's not even a single entendre.
Are you comfortable with a big gun?
They have their advantages.
That's more like it.
Also, if you haven't noticed by now, the boobs are much more realistic this time around, and aren't unbelievable by anime standards. And the various parties hang out and meet up. If you're confused by what's going on, don't worry, they talk in exposition.
Look, Martinez, you may be a representative of the Philippine government, but to me, you're just another bleeding heart liberal.
But a government agent is taken out and replaced with the perfect abduction. And he goes on to steal a disc from non-union Egon Spengler that shows the location of a sunken Japanese boat carrying gold! Explained here by this surprisingly serious deathbed confession flashback to Imperial Japan.
Shortly after the third radio check-in, I received a brief distress call, followed by silence.
And in case you were worried, they do deliver the medication to the island of forgotten plot points. Meanwhile, in Joshua Tree National Park...
It's all there? Have a blast.
announcement, they're all in one piece.
But enough of that. Our heroines are flying through a thunderstorm, so it's the perfect opportunity for a wardrobe change. We interrupt this nudity for a sex scene.
What a coup. This fortune will support the revolution.
Continuing the tradition of Asian stuntmen getting much-deserved speaking roles, it's Al Leon of Lethal Weapon and Bill and Ted fame, playing an evil guy named Fu.
Okay, Eric, let's change these IDs.
Maybe it's best he didn't talk much in those other movies. A little exposition later, and it's time for a title drop.
Jesus, is that remote? The weather in that part of the world can be violently unstable. Japanese sure picked one hell of a savage beach to crash their boat on.
Meanwhile, our heroes have crashed on said savage beach. They show off some survival skills and take it surprisingly well.
Hey, Gaia! What are you doing, picking coconuts? No, I'm installing cable television.
And remember, when you're trapped on a deserted island, there's only one thing to do. Skinny dipping! Tee-hee-hee! Once again, we interrupt this nudity for more nudity.
And will you, for the love of God, put on a f***ing shirt?
And back on the beach.
Bad.
But their idealistic marooning is not all it seems. They're not alone. Luckily, they have a flair for the dramatic. But it's not the last time their paths will meet.
Donna, it's him again.
But enough of this plotline. It's time for the villains to arrive. One of them was in The Godfather, Part 2. It goes well.
Let's tie him up.
Tie this up.
Lighten up! Come on!
Things are complicated when Selena Quintanilla shows up with goons. Sadly, the president of her fan club is among them. And now it's time for the carnage! And this guy, who saw the love of his life die in his arms, is roasted alive. Yay. So the day is saved, and it's time for the credits. At least you'd think it was, but instead, first we must return to the surprisingly dramatic Imperial Japan plotline for an extended monologue.
それで、その日、海岸に4人のアメリカ人を
One more betrayal?
Major Harrison, what the hell are you talking about?
Captain, my real name isn't Major Harrison.
Dirk Hardpeck.
Special Operative CIA.
And then it's on to the cocktail party ending.
Taryn, are you at it again?
You bet I am.
And then they all banged. The end. And that's Savage Beach. A confusing mishmash of betrayals and boobage. And that makes us all caught up to fully appreciate Return to Savage Beach. Which we will cover next. Just kidding. Roll it! We return to modern times with a surprisingly decent Bond-inspired song.
When we return, what will we find?
And non-sequitur swimming. And a quick title drop. Via song.
Will we return to Savage Beach?
We meet the command center, where they communicate with agents in the field via the most powerful satellite ever, and sexy horoscopes.
Your KSXY sextrologist. Sometimes you can see it all, but sometimes things can seem uncertain.
We meet Ava, played by Ava Cadell, famous for her role in Commando as Girl in Bed at Motel. We also find out that Tiger and Tyler are still together, and that's kinda sweet, honestly. And most of the Day of the Warrior cast returns, except for the guy playing Doc Austin, who is no longer played by Discount Billy Gunn, but instead Discount John Morrison. He's not an improvement.
Guns
rockets, high-tech detonators, and plastic explosives.
And unfortunately, Tiger's boobs also haven't been recast. And we get a dramatic dressing scene.
This one's yours.
The pacing issues remain as once again they rented jet skis for the day and damn it, they're gonna get their money's worth. And the real star of this series, the exploding crossbow, makes its appearance. Because continuity matters. And the plot is solved! We can turn on Cobra Kai!
Alright, they got the terrorists.
Just kidding. We're 16 minutes in and what we could call plot begins. After what else? A dressing montage.
I enjoy being a girl.
Roller Girl is back, and she's pissed. Time has not been good to the Lethal office. Due to spending all their money on jet skis and leopard print swimwear, their staff has been reduced to 3.
Baby, something's wrong.
But at least they upgraded to new floppy disks. Cutting-edge technology for 1999. And they're on their way to discovering the lost treasure. But that's enough plot. Tiger's cosplaying the wrong jungle cat. A bit later, they start reusing footage. Aren't you glad you know the context now?
A storm forced the boat off course, and it crashed on a small, uncharted island.
With Gilligan! The movies connect with Tyler having a connection to the exploded villain from Savage Beach. Who's alive? And a music teacher! Spy once again with me! And what's this? Roller Girl's here, and she's wearing a cone of shame. Back at the Heroes, Cobra and... Hold up, can we talk about the surprising amount of Roy Lichtenstein artwork in these movies? His comic strip-themed artwork is a little distracting, especially since this piece sold for $43.2 million. Why? Because art is stupid. Meanwhile, Willow's heading off to meet a new recruit. What's this? Warrior? Twice in a lifetime!
You think you're special, you do.
But he's a good guy now?
Come on.
You're probably thinking, but he killed all those people and was a crime lord. Do they explain this? Yeah, actually.
Believe it or not, the guy I killed was not a Fed. He was in fact a serial killer roaming the college campuses of the Southwest.
So they meet up with Fu and ninjas attack. Honestly, it's a pretty good icebreaker. Nothing like some kabuki assassins to bring a team together. And hey, they got some use out of the model airplane from Savage Beach.
This model airplane is some piece of memorabilia.
The plot advances when Cobra burns her hand on a book.
Oh my god!
The team debriefs and plans their next move.
Cobra and I will service the plane and file a flight plan. You guys meet us at the Dallas agency hangar in a couple of hours.
But why male models?
You and Fu should stay here and protect Ava's operation. Doc, Tyler, and I will sail there.
I was born for water sports. I'll help you through it all, pal.
Ew. Meanwhile, back at the Opera House.
Why can't I see behind your mask? What do you hide there?
And the heroes' plans are complicated by more ninjas. With one of the heroes being spared for some reason.
No, Toshi! Don't kill him. We need him to tell the others what happened here.
Tyler's been kidnapped.
But he was abducted by ninjas! Ninjas!
Finding out one of their team has been taken leaves them worried. And horny.
Warrior, would you take a walk with me?
Warrior being more into himself is surprising continuity. Again, they're actually trying here. And thus Willow and Warrior have a sex scene reminiscent of Nick and Tran from New Girl.
Why are you cradling me like a baby, friend?
And the villains have rented a sub, so hit that sub button. What? That was natural. Unlike Tiger.
Get out!
Cobra and Tiger make their way to Savage Beach and find themselves in the requisite ugly khaki. The others work out. And Tiger and Cobra find the treasure, so there's only one thing to do.
You want to go for that swim?
Yeah.
When in Savage Beach.
But your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Then it's time for another ninja fight. And when ninjas are being bested, they break out their secret technique. Gun! How do you miss targets that big? Bloodlust! Yay! But what's this? Another face turn.
I'm Sophia Menz, Interpol agent. Look, thank God the bullet hit Tyler's medallion, but he's hurt badly. Help me!
But they find a bomb about to go off. And honestly, this bomb voice is pretty awesome.
Urgent, urgent. All things alive, persons or creatures, should not be within 16 square miles of this ground zero point.
Yes!
Yes!
Yeah!
Thank God.
Countdown terminated.
One dream sequence later, and it's time for a showdown with the Phantom. And he's revealed to be...
Damn you! You little blind Pandora!
She should have kept her hand at the level of her eye. And guess what? We need to return to Savage Beach.
Later, when they came back to the site, no one could find my body.
A little bit of detective work, and it's finally time to unmask the guy. And he's revealed as... this guy from Day of the Warrior. No, wait! It's Old Man Jenkins!
I have no idea who this is.
And that's it. We get another callback to Savage Beach.
Tyler, you've got to start thinking of me as more than just a pretty face.
And another twist. This movie has more endings than Return of the King.
But you're dead. You were killed by your nephew, Carlos.
How many endings can this story have?
Yes.
We'll all drink to that.
Oh good, it's actually over. Song time!
Which ending does the story have?
This movie served as the end to the Bullets, Bombs, and Babe series, and the last film Sedaris would make before he died from throat cancer. But, as cheesy as these movies are, bad pacing and redundant dressing montages and all, they're still delightfully cheesy and know their limitations. If you're looking for a fun time capsule, you could do a lot worse. And ladies who have made it all the way to the end, your boyfriends probably watched one of these growing up, whether they'll admit it or not. If nothing else, throw Return to Savage Beach up on Amazon and pour one out for Julie and Andy. They may not have made the best movies, but damn it, they had fun doing so. And if you have any requests for me to check out, leave them in the comments below. This one was requested, so I'll clearly say no to very little. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and happy binging through the Amazon. Or Savage Beach.
Do you remember all of the mysteries, submerged, veiled, secrets and lies?